What's up, everybody? Welcome to Underground Crypto Deep Dive Research Show. How's everybody doing out there? Let me get myself on the screen. There we go. Looking good, looking good. How's everybody feeling out there on a Thursday? It's Thursday, right? Yeah, it is. Chris Goss in the house, Melissa, CCP, Stregahart. Glad to see everybody on a Thursday. I am barely making it to the show a little bit. Got a lot going on in the day. Let's look at this. So the 4-hour chart for BTC, we see the price kind of run up to that 200, starting to slow down as it gets close to that red line, which is the 200-day moving average on this 4-hour chart. And you see the stochastics are overbought. So does that mean it kind of stops there and we fizzle out? Does it go sideways, flag out, and bust through the 200? Or is that the end of a very, very small rally and then we kind of continue down after that? Time will tell. Hey, Plague Dog says he's lurking. Welcome in, Plague Dogs. Cryptic Quentin, hello, hello. All my people showing up today. Shout out to the Undergrounders. Smash that like button for me. And welcome back to the Daily Crypto IQ Show, where we go deeper into topics that actually raise your crypto IQ. If you've been paying even a little bit of attention, you know that the series this week is Crypto Fact or Fiction. And the whole point of this series is to separate myth from reality and the biggest claims that people make online about different crypto coins. Monday, talked about XLM. Tuesday was the big one, XRP. Wednesday, we broke down and talked about ISO 20022, crypto myths and facts, and it got quite a bit of attention. I even saw quite a few new people come in and start commenting. Cryptic Quentin says, how you been, UG? I've been good, very busy, but I've been good. I found some drywall damage in my house, so I had to rip out a bunch of drywall, and I'm fixing it. And tonight we're zooming out to a whole category that talks about constantly online, which is utility coins. I told you it was going to be a show where we talk about HBAR, XDC, Algorand, Quant, even IOTA. And of course, XRP and XLM get put into this conversation as well because they are considered utility coins. These coins are often described as enterprise coins, ISO coins, banking coins, RWA coins, payment coins, interoperability coins, future financial infrastructure coins are narratives that you hear wrapped around all of these different coins. But the tricky part is that some of these projects really do have infrastructure. There is some fact to the myth, right? Some of them really are focused on enterprise use cases, and some are building around payments, tokenization, interoperability, compliance, and real-world assets. But then the internet takes that real utility story and stretches it into huge claims. That's what we're calling myths, right? Cryptic Quentin says, damn, that's no fun. Is ZBC in that list too? LOL. Yeah, technically I think it would be in that list, right? It's a utility token. I mean, it's used for payroll, right? That's a utility, but maybe not necessarily payments. Banks have to use them. The coin is chosen. We've busted a lot of those narratives, right? So moving forward, our quote of the day: facts do not cease to exist just because they are ignored. I think that's a great one right there. Prime Minister says, yo, sup, UG, was busy yesterday, couldn't catch the previous one. No worries. Glad to have you with us today. And then my favorite segment of the night to kick off the stream with is what you may not know. You may not know this, but the phase utility coin can hide several totally different claims, right? It can be wrapped up. Many things can be wrapped up into that claim of utility coins. HBAR has a real network utility story because Hedera says network fees are set in US dollars and converted into HBAR at the time of transaction. Hedera also describes itself as an institutional grade infrastructure for applications performance where compliance matters. And their focus on compliance, I think, is why they're very much wrapped up in things like the WEF and things like that. XDC has a different utility story altogether. XDC Network describes itself as an enterprise-grade, open-source, EVM-compatible blockchain protocol focused on trade, finance, real-world asset tokenization, and enterprise applications. So still utility, but a little bit different. Now, Algorand has a whole different angle. Algorand describes itself as a blockchain used by real companies to move money, verify data, tokenize assets, deliver aid payments that have that narrative as well, and build real-world products. We talked about the whole aid, payments around XRP as well. And then Quant just coming in with a different angle. Quant describes itself as over-ledger, API-based technology that can integrate with existing systems that work with APIs. And its site focuses heavily on programmable money, I guess that'd be like CBDCs, right? Capital markets tokenization and interoperability. So the reality is there are real utility narratives out here, and they come from many different angles. But the myth begins with what people assume based out of what we know to be fact. Because the project has utility, the token must explode is a bit of a leap. It's a bit of a stretch to go to, but people go there. They absolutely do go there. And is anything else I want to say about this 4-hour chart? Not really. 4-hour chart running up to the 200-day moving average. Are we going to get a little bit of a flag out here of some sort with a measured move? We'll go ahead and project that. I hate when I mess up my chart. What is going on? All right, there we go. So if that plays out, I mean, you can see 66,000 rolling on in. Let's get to those crypto bubbles and kick this thing off. Welcome to the Underground Crypto Deep Dive Show. There's crypto bubbles and a lot of green today. Let's check up on this chat. 13 watchers and 6 likes. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, guys. Hey, Cryptic Quentin's on it. Definitely hit that like button for me. So Memecore, I think, is one of the more interesting stories in this 1 through 100, right? Let's toggle the 1 through 1,000 real quick. 3.4% in the 1 through 100. And 4.4%, 900 to 1,000, actually the biggest gainer in the 1 through 1,000 categories. Memecore, up 34%, was as high as $1.78. So bouncing back pretty nicely, as I had a good feeling it was going to. Lab up 18%. What did it bounce to? $11.91 from $8.96. So there was some money to be made there with that move, that volatility. Pump.fun up 10%, Sky up 13%, Solana, I noticed, is putting in all kinds of new metric highs and things like that. So Solana doing all right. Looks like Flare got a little 5% pump. Very interesting. What is Flare by market cap? Number 81. You got MakerDAO up to $1,380 for MakerDAO. And Uniswap right here up 13%. Who knows about that Uniswap? Drop down another 100 here. Velvet taking a bit of a hit, right? Velvet fell 69% from $1.52 today to 46 cents. That is a bit of a fall, isn't it? Melissa says, I'm good since I got off work early. Hey, getting off work early is always nice. Ultima up 10%. Billions Network, Bartcoin up 17%. There's that ZBCN. It is up 6%. Let's drop down another 100 here. Magma, 38.2% to the upside. It is in the sweet ecosystem to a high of 57 cents. Allora. We've talked about this coin quite a bit. It's up 45%. I'm glad to see it's hanging in there. Now, BNB attestation token service, it had been pumping a good bit lately. And it looks like it was just kind of coming on down. Yeah, it really came down fast from about 6 cents to a low of 2 cents. Interesting. Sky AI, same thing. Actually, Sky AI hasn't been up in a while. This is the monthly chart. Had a high of 46 cents and a low of 7. A lot of volatility out here in the market. If you're a trader or something, that's definitely good news if you can catch them, right? XPR Network up 10% today. Very interesting. Let's move along to our price rundown and take a look at what is trending, overall market cap, all of that good stuff. So let's see. Overall market cap, 2.2 trillion, up 2.5%. It's pretty good today. What's going on? Are we catching bottoms? Is this the bottom, or are we just getting a little relief rally before we go lower? What do you guys think? Bitcoin, $61,267, up 2.9% in the last 7 days, right? We're getting a little bit of a relief rally there for BTC. And the rest of the market, Ethereum, 1,695, almost back to 1,700, 8.5% in the upside in the last 7 days. BNB, $557, XRP, $1.08, Solana, $80.72, Hyperliquid, $66.10, Dogecoin, 7 cents, Zcash, $431, XLM, 19 cents, Cardano, 16 cents, up 12% in the last 7 days, Monero, $317, Chainlink, $7.72, Canton Network, 14 cents. Canton Network kind of lagging behind, so that one's due for a little bit of a pump. Seems like a pretty major coin. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. Gram or Toncoin, $1.65. Bitcoin Cash, $219. I guess we got to add that now that it's been pumping a little bit. I usually skip right over it. Lab, $10.90. Actually down 35% in the last 7 days. HBAR, 7 cents. SWE, 72 cents, up 7.4% in the last 7 days. And that's usually kind of where we cut it off here. MemeCore back to $1.60 is worth mentioning. MemeCore is actually up 61% in the last 7 days. So if you're somebody swinging coins or something like that, that one could have did you some good numbers. As I had a feeling it was going to bounce. Prime Minister says, UG, did you hear about Robinhood Layer 2 chain? I did, actually. We went over it yesterday. We had been looking at it when we were messing around with hoping we got some airdrops from it a long time ago. I actually took a break from that and decided that wasn't really worth having in the show. But we did that for a long time. And then we read yesterday in our news segment that they had actually gone from testnet to mainnet with their Layer 2. It's an Ethereum Layer 2. I talked about how Robinhood would do themselves a huge favor if Robinhood would just, bless the people who participated in their testnet with some airdrop money and buy some of the love from the crypto people, because real crypto native people who've been around a while are not big fans of Robinhood. So I think that would have been in their best interest, but that doesn't mean that they will. The Black Bull is now up 102,000%. It's like at first, yesterday I think it was up 72,000%. This thing just keeps going. Market cap 71 million. Where does it stop? Yeah, Crypto Quentin says, yeah, I wish I would have scooped some MemeCore. Me too. Prime Minister says, yeah, I hear you, bro. Yeah, it would make a lot of sense for them, but a lot of those big companies are tone deaf, if you ask me. I think that Robinhood's launching in L2 because they want to do the same thing that Coinbase is doing. And I'll be honest, I think Robinhood in the same conversation as Coinbase and Kraken is laughable. But I guess there goes my sponsorship from Robinhood, right? Pudgy Penguins, Grass, Hyperliquid, Solana, Backpack, Stellar, WorldCoin, Bitcoin, Finis Token, Aave, Pi Network, Snap, and Jupiter, all trending today on the CoinGecko. I mean, the Black Bull, we've been over it. We got word from the Prime Minister that this is a very popular KOL, and that's why it's doing so well, because he's basically staking his reputation on it. And Ansem, now that I think about it, and when you said it, I was like, okay, I've heard the name Ansem before, and different projects that I've read and things like that. He's been a part of other things. So let's move right along, as there was nothing there that really stuck out to me and was like, oh, that's a new something that we need to talk about that most people won't know. I think you guys know most of those projects. Fear and Greed Index, 21. Far cry from where we had been at like 11 and 10. Let's see, how low did we go? Let's see, this day we were at, boy, they don't make this easy, do they? Why is it not telling me what the Fear and Greed Index was? Oh, here it is, 11. Yeah, it looks like a low of 11 here recently. Already back to 21. Is this going to live? I know that there's a lot of hype here in America. It's about to be 4th of July. I don't really know if that really matters much for the world markets and crypto markets and stuff, but there's a little hype in the air here if you're in America. Let's go to 20 and not 10. And let's take a look at what we got going on here. There's always some interesting things over here on Crypto Rank. Whether you're using CoinGecko, Crypto Rank, CoinMarketCap, whatever it is, they all have different metrics and different reasons to use different ones. Shout out Blockworks. We love Blockworks. They have some great data. Most of it a little bit intense for the average user, right? That's for the advanced. Cryptic Quentin, only thing I swing is memes on Pump.Fun, but my main bags are solid holds. Prime Minister, he knows what he's doing. If you're just rolling in, smash that like button, and welcome to the Underground Crypto Deep Dive Show, where we raise that crypto IQ and hope that you become a better speculator in this market. Atla Network, trending, this next pace is trending 1.1 years old. We'll take a look at that. I don't know that off the top of my head. Dogecoin Mars. You should know that one. That one's been around a while, 5.2 years. Why is that coming into relevant? Is it because Elon's finally going to Mars with the Dogecoin dog? I don't know. We'll take a look at that, see if we can figure out why it's trending. Venice AI, Arcus, you see the NA. That means there's no token generation event yet. So we'll take a look at that. It's in its funding round. So we catch things that are super early. You know, we catch things that are even in their funding rounds. It served us pretty well over time. Go Plus Security, Talus Network. We're just running to look through what's trending. We'll go back and actually take a look at a lot of things. Turbo, crowd favorite out there. A lot of people love Turbo. Origin, Dollar, the Black Bull, Cerebri. We looked at that yesterday. We'll touch on it again. DYDX Native. This is an exchange. It's only been around 2.6 years. I always feel like this thing has been around much longer. Eurocoin, stablecoin, but for Europe. Popcat, Lighter, Backpack, Magic Eden, Magic Internet Money, right? Solana, Buildon, and Alora. So there's a good bit to unpack, but usually there's a ton of coins in this list that are like not token generated yet, and I'm not seeing so many of those. So we'll get right into it. Nextbase. Nextbase is a blockchain game project based on MapleStory with player-owned items and NXPC token. Don't get me excited. MapleStory is an OG game. If you know, you know. And that's all I guess I can say about that. If you know, you know. And Nextbase, is that the company, or is this just like a play on the name here? Very interesting. Prime Minister says it's all about the information and the intel. You know where the attention is. Memes are purely attention based. Makes perfect sense to me. You know, for a long time when we were having the AI agent craze, I was talking about how it just made perfect sense to me, because what are memes really good at? They're good at advertising. They're good at attention. Because, I mean, start breaking it down before we even get into this coin right here. We take a look at it. Memes are attention, like you just said. Well, what is attention? What do you do when you get attention? Market. You market once you have attention. So take something that's like really, really hype like that, and really, really community based, and a lot of like word of mouth and attention, and combine it with something that's more serious, right? Combine it with something that's like an AI agent, has an actual function, has some tech behind it, and put them together. And I think you have a recipe for great marketing and a solid use case that actually, you know, makes money, and also people get even more excited because it's useful. Where we kind of have a disconnect with those things. We kind of have memes in one category and then like useful stuff in a different category. We need to combine them. We need to combine the two. Let the meme, memeorality of it sell the item and get the exposure, and then let the real item have the utility and the use case. I think somebody's going to nail that, and it's genius. I see a few people have kind of tried that, right? Let's see. Struggerheart says, I'm here today, just tired out. Appreciate you at least letting us know. Prime Minister says, speculative attention, once you understand this, you can easily win. There you go. Cryptic Quentin says, I'm in UG's Discord, name's Cryptic Q. Yes, he absolutely is. And for anybody who doesn't know, the Discord link is in the chat. Hop on in. It is a free Discord. So let's check this thing out. I got to give it a fair shake here because I kind of do love MapleStory. And taking MapleStory and making MapleStory a real like NFT kind of project, kind of almost like some Sunflower Land or something like that, would be kind of a genius idea because the game's already built, right? The infrastructure's already there. Just kind of port it over and make it all actually crypto. That would be a lot of fun. And they've been around, what did we say, like 2-point-something years? 1 year. So hopefully they have something to show for themselves. Hopefully they built something, right? Connect your wallet, customize your character. Maple University, not university. Let's see. Is a MapleStory Universe. Let me slow down. Is a groundbreaking blockchain ecosystem that goes beyond the bounds of the original MapleStory MMORPG, designed to elevate the unique reward experience RX that MapleStory has delivered for over 2 decades. It takes this concept to uncharted territory. For me, a lot of times it's like they do this, but then there's like nothing to show. So if they could nail this properly, I think it could be a big deal. Because you have a lot of market exposure. A lot of people know what this is. What happens when we hit play now? All right, well, it takes us to another place. Second update. I haven't played this game in a super long time for anybody who actually knows what this is. Shout out, throw me a 111 in the chat if you actually know what MapleStory is. Man, if they could make this like an in-browser game. Oh, it just has like a straight download. Okay. All right, I got to do a little bit of research on this. But you know that DeFi Friday is tomorrow. So we're going to keep this on the back burner. We're going to keep this up, but I don't want to get too lost in it. You know how it goes. Dogelon Mars, been around for at least 5 years. Elon is the meme token on Ethereum and Polygon blockchain, named as a tribute to both Dogecoin and Elon Musk. I think you guys could have figured that out. It's chilling around 31.3 million, been as high as 1.4 billion. I'm actually surprised that this coin doesn't pump a little bit more with things like SpaceX launch and stuff. Maybe it did. Maybe that's what this little pump here is. Would it go from... I mean, are these even legible numbers? 0.62. Why is there an E-7 in it? That's kind of wild. Anyways, it had a pump. You see the green candles. Anybody else find this weird? Look at the numbers on the side. Am I tripping? It says it's in USDT, right? But 0.46 E-7. I don't know what the heck that's supposed to mean. But it's been very high before, right? To have been at $1.4 billion and now you're only at 31. I don't know if this thing's really got the juice to go again, but it might. It might. MapleStory failed because of bad tokenomics. It was bullish when it came out. Yeah. I don't really remember it coming out when it came with crypto, but what they should do is just scrap it and relaunch it. That's what they should do. That's my advice. Hey UG, I sent you a DM and check out Salvium when you get the time. Absolutely, man. It's been a little crazy. Like I said, I don't know if you heard, I spent most of the day like ripping out drywall and treating some water damage and stuff like that. It's always something every day. Tomorrow I gotta go help family member move some stuff around and things like that. Very, very busy, but there will be a DeFi Friday, but I'll read it. And Melissa, I haven't forgot about you. I got your $5 from your win the other night, and I will send that to you probably after the show. Arcus is a decentralized exchange on Robinhood chain offering 24/7 fee-free trading of tokenized. This is weird to me, okay? Because, okay, So maybe Arcus is just going to be... Oh, okay. See, this makes sense. Because why would Robinhood really want to let somebody in on the whole exchange thing? Because that's Robinhood's business. But if you think about it, didn't Robinhood mostly roll with a bow? Didn't he use a bow in the woods a lot of the time? Arcus, you know, an arc, a bow. You can see it in the symbol. So I'm thinking that Robinhood probably owns and runs Arcus. Because I don't know why they would want to put up a decentralized exchange. Developed jointly by DYDX Labs. Okay, that's very interesting that they picked DYDX Labs to work with and that they're actually kind of trending right now. Gotta start kind of piecing some of this stuff together. All right, we're caught up on the chat. Talus Network, only been around 0.6 years. Let's take a look at this. I don't know why in my mind I want to connect it to BitTensor, but I don't think that's what it is. Yep, Talus Network is a SWE move stack-based protocol for on-chain autonomous AI agents with Nexus framework. So sounds like a project bringing AI agents and agentic network to the SWE blockchain. Sounds pretty cool to me. Looks like it's been on a bit of a run. Is that a cup and handle? Let's see. When did this thing token generate? The 11th of December 2025. 38 million market cap. Been as high as 59 million. You definitely already missed the floor on this thing. It's a very interesting project. Man, look at that. Look at that pump. And does it tell us what it is by market cap? I don't ever look for that on this page particularly. Remember, we're always deep diving together, right? So if I try to go, like if I have a thought, I try to go on a tangent and find it, but then I also try not to take too long to do it. I don't lose people's attention. All right, I'm not finding what I'm looking for here. So that is Talus. Just if you see Talus, you're going to want to think SWE. Turbo, you should know what Turbo is. The Black Bull, we went over that. And some Cerebri. Cerebri reminds me of XRPH. That's what it reminds me of. I mean, they even use the same colors in their symbol, even if the symbol is different. It's healthcare. How do we feel about that? Why did they decide to take this project and put their VCs and angel investors behind the paywall, but they don't do that for other projects? I don't know. It's very strange in my opinion. 1.2 million raised. Cerebri is a unified AI ecosystem for enterprise healthcare and individual intelligence. And in no way am I saying these things probably correctly, because I've never heard anybody say this name, but Cerebri sounds like what it is to me. Melissa says, I forgot about it. I've been working every day nonstop, walking everywhere at work, feet and legs sore. I feel you. If you have an Apple phone, go look on your step tracker there under health. It's under the health app, and you can see exactly how many steps you've been getting. I've been going hardcore on my steps, so I feel you. Calf's been sore for like 3 weeks straight or more. Getting those 20,000 steps every day takes me like about 3.5 hours. It's pretty brutal. And then you throw a workout at the gym on top of that. I went ham yesterday. I am feeling it today. But that's not what we're here for, right? But we're an underground family, so I got to tell you what's going on in my life. Feel free to tell me what's going on in your life. And I mean that. DYDX, interesting that Robinhood Layer 2 here really called on them for Arkham, which is, I guess, going to be their decentralized exchange. When it comes to speculation, do we think that Arcus will get some kind of play or do well because they're connected to Robinhood, or no? I'm very interested about that. Because why would they come up with like a whole Arcus and a whole decentralized exchange on their layer 2? Like, why wouldn't they just integrate Robinhood and have Robinhood on there? Kind of like what Coinbase did, right? Just all integrated into the app. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to take a different approach. Popcat, you should know what it is. Lighter, another decentralized exchange that I never really felt did all that well. Backpack. Magic Eden has been around for 1.6 years. Is this Magic Internet Money? Is this the same thing? Or am I getting it confused? Magic Eden is a multi-chain NFT inscription and rune marketplace. Okay. Maybe Magic Internet Money is a different project, because that's an older project. Let's look at the website here. It's a Solana-based project. NFTs, not like the biggest thing. But you know, NFTs and things, they'll heat up real slow and then all of a sudden take off. If they do take off, it'll like be quiet and then all of a sudden they'll start taking off and you'll feel like you missed it. That's how it usually goes. Dumpster bags. There you go. That's got to be the winner, right? Dumpster bags. The volume 1.2 sold. Let's see. Mad Labs, 987 sold. So a little bit of a difference. I'd like to launch some projects over here and see if I can't make some soul. That'd be pretty funny. All right, caught up on chat still. And what else is there to say? Build On focuses on building in the World Liberty Finance ecosystem. I thought it was really interesting. We deep dived this thing one time and found some interesting information about it. Allura, though, has been on the radar for quite some time. And 78 million in market cap, been as high as 169. Token generation, not that long ago, honestly. It was the 11th of November, 2025. Depending on your time frames. Looks very cup with the handle here. And it just got a pump from about 22 cents to 33 cents, an 11-cent pump. But what is it? Well, it's an abstraction layer for intelligence. We talk a lot about abstraction, chain abstraction, wallet abstraction. Abstraction is just taking the complication of blockchain technology, hiding it in the background, and making a smooth dashboard or UX or userability, making it real smooth for the user to use so they don't ever really have to see the complicated, parts of blockchain. I think Coinbase does a really good job at that, but there are many things that do. Solflare wallet, Coinbase being centralized, Solflare and things like that nature being very decentralized. Jupiter's app on the phone is very nice. Just stuff like that, it makes a big difference. But let me tell you guys a little story about crypto so we can raise that crypto IQ, because I know that's what you're here for. So utility coins are some of the most convincing narratives in crypto. They sound more serious than meme coins. They sound more connected to the real world, right? They use words like enterprise and banks, institutions, payments, tokenization, real-world assets, trade finance, interoperability, compliance, digital identity, settlements. Those words sound important because, well, they are important. The real world does not have slow payment system. I'm sorry, I read that completely wrong. I am tired. The real world does have slow payment systems. We talked about this. Swift does need upgrades, right? Like, it is archaic. If anybody's ever moved, and I'm not saying I have, but I've been around people who have moved, say, anything over like 100K across the globe, like from America to like Germany or something like that, it's a pain in the ass, and it takes a really long time because it's got to be cleared and approved through multiple different, middlemen. Blockchain fixes all of that, but that doesn't mean that they're going to move to it quickly. It seems like a no-brainer, but they move slow because at the end of the day, you are talking about a large amounts of money. They're very risk-orientated. They don't want to take on too much risk too quickly. They want to start very slow. So it'll take time, even if they are going to be adopting a lot of this stuff. That's very nice of Prime Minister. Yeah, Salvium is something that he's been talking about a lot, and we will check it out at some point here. Trade finance does have paperwork problems. Financial institutions and markets have settlement friction. Real-world assets are being tokenized. Institutions are exploring blockchain infrastructure. We see plenty of clear examples of this. So when someone says this coin has utility, it feels different than the pure hype of meme coins and things like that. But this is also why utility myths are so powerful, because they feel much more real than some of the crazier things that are said out there. Because the myths often start with a real foundation. A little bit of truth sells a good lie. The shift tonight is that we have to stop treating utility as one simple thing. Utility can mean a lot of different things. It can mean the token is used by paying fees, right? It can mean that the network is useful, but the token only plays a small role. And this is something that we really got to watch out for when it comes to a lot of this utility stuff, is that the rails, the blockchain is integrated, it's used, but very little of it comes back into the market cap of the coin, which means it's not going to do much for your bags. Now, if I remember correctly, people made a big deal about XRP. At one point, I believe this was many years ago, they kind of restructured things so that the actual XRP token had a lot more need in the system, right? It would need to actually be used in the system. But this is highly speculative, and I don't really know how much of that is 100% true or not true. It seemed like it was confirmed, but confirmed by who? Now, it can mean company is still building enterprise software. It can mean blockchain supports tokenized assets. Projects is trying to connect different systems, and it can even mean that there are real partnerships or pilots. We talked about how partnerships don't exactly mean money in the market cap of the coin that you are looking for or real need for the coin. But those are all different claims here. So they do not create the same kind of token demand. That is part of people online skip. That is a part that people online often skip, right? They go from this project has real utility straight to this token is guaranteed to be a massive winner. They get super excited. Sometimes it's genuine. Sometimes they're really just paid shills. Hard to separate the two. And nobody wants to miss an amazing opportunity, a life-changing opportunity, and that's where they suck you in to maybe buying something that doesn't really move. But utility does not automatically equal token value. The missing question is, how does the utility flow back to the token? How does the money wind up in the market cap? We've talked many times about tokenomics. Once you understand that, you can judge a utility coin much clearly. You do not have to dismiss these coins here, HBAR, XDC, Algorand, Quant, IOTA, XRP, or XLM. You don't have to completely dismiss them because so much crazy stuff is said about them. And you don't have to blindly believe the claims either. You got to be somewhere in the middle, raising that crypto IQ. Welcome to Underground Crypto. You can ask better questions, right? And I really like this focus on asking better questions, even if a lot of times you're asking those better questions in your own head and then trying to answer them, because you're probably not asking somebody in real life. What is actually being used? Who is actually using it? Is this a pilot, partnership, product, or production scale adoption? Is the token even required in the rails and the blockchain technology that's being used? Is the token held by any of these companies? Is the token burned? These are more high-level IQ questions to be thinking of. If they come automatically, well, then you have a very high crypto IQ. Are the fees meaningful, especially for getting into the market cap? Does the value go to the token, the company, company's treasury, the network, or the application? And how do you separate utility from utility mythology? That is tonight's goals. Let's take a look at we'll break it up a little bit. Let's look at our top gainers, top losers, right? So meme core, we'll refresh this, see if it's still up 63%. Wow, it's dropped actually. Meme core is only up 29%, with Fartcoin coming in behind it at 21%, WorldCoin at 15.9%, call it 16%, right? Don't gotta be that technical. Velvet, really the biggest loser of the day, and not even a close second here, down 70% for Velvet. KDO only down 8.9, 9%. Detai Stu says, what's good, everybody? Got done working. Thanks for the stream, my man. You are absolutely welcome. I appreciate you and love the energy that you bring to the stream. Prime Minister says, once you do it, let me know, UG in Discord. I absolutely will. I should be able to get to it at some point tomorrow. If not, Saturday. Weekends, they look a lot better for me, honestly, at this point. Tomorrow's seeming like it's going to be a little crazy. I do very much love to do the Twitter doom scroll a little bit. Let's see what we got under the crypto hashtag. Let's see if it's all a bunch of shills or if there's any good information in here. And again, we're just scrolling Twitter for a second and seeing what's the latest things being said. This post was made 1 minute ago, so you never know what we're going to find. And a lot of times you do see a lot of repetition when people are shilling things. What is this about? Interesting. Just like to break up that IQ raising event a little bit and see, talk about XRP, right? You know, Comet Trust, the Chad XRP advisory. Is he a financial advisor? Sounds like a little bit of like some dangerous terminology here if he's not. Step-by-step guide to getting up an irrevocable crypto trust. Yeah, this is what you do here a lot with XRP, right? They want you to put it in a trust. See a lot of that stuff. What is this? I've seen it like 100 times. Yeah, it's WhatsApp. This is guaranteed to steal your money, I would say. And if anything good comes out of this doom scroll here, it's that we see some XRP again. So my whole theme of the series and the focus around XLM XRP, you can see that it's not random, it's not nonsense, it's real. There are people out here talking about it. XRP Ledger continues to showcase the speed, efficiency, scalability, and many believe could power the next generation of global payments. Okay, it sounds like their speculation here is actually somewhat reasonable, and they weren't going absolutely crazy. Fartcoin is absolutely running, and it definitely was up today. When you see this thing this many times, you know this thing is just absolutely garbage. Let's block this guy, see if it helps take some of his crap off. Oh, bonk. We know some people here who love some bonk. Struggle Heart says tacos. Tacos sound delicious. I haven't eaten much today either. Bonk surging momentum. And then it says what bonk is. I think we should... Well, I live in a world where a lot of these things are obvious, but I shouldn't say most people should know what bonk is. Most people don't even know what Ethereum is. If you just talk to people at the gas station, they might have heard of it, maybe, but they definitely couldn't tell you what it is. And they definitely couldn't tell you what the difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin is. All right, let's continue this crypto education. So utility coins is not one category, and a lot of times utility is talked about like it is kind of one category, but utility just really means useful. And people talk about utility coins like they all do the same thing. So we're going to break a little bit of this down. We have quite a few projects to kind of focus in on, and hopefully I help you get to know these a little bit better on a more basic definitional level without trying to like go super in detail with all of these projects, right? Just want to make sure you can look at XDC and be like, oh, that's this algorithm. Oh yeah, that's what algorithm, you know, and you have it separated so things make sense to you when people talk about these projects. That's where we are right now. Some focus on payments, some focus on enterprise blockchain, tokenization or interoperability, and some just fees and network usage. Some focus on data, identity, supply chain, and trade finance. You can see how those are all very different things. First mistake is treating every utility narrative like it proves the same thing. But reality is some crypto projects really do focus on practical infrastructure. And I think the truth is that a lot of that practical infrastructure will become more and more and more important as time goes on. The myth is that all utility coins do not have the same role, business model, or token demand setup. Again, tokenomics can be such a big deal because it could have real utility and just terrible tokenomics. For whatever reason, somebody maybe did not think through the tokenomics on the project. HBAR has some real network fee and enterprise governance story. Hedera utility story is often tied to fast, predictable network usage, enterprise applications, and governance, if you know what the hash graph is, right? Hedera hash graph, that is. Hedera says that fees are set in US dollars starting at 0.0001 and automatically converted into HBAR at the time of transaction. It also describes the network as infrastructure for regulated industries where performance and compliance matter. That type of language is important. One of the main takeaways I take from this information is that Hedera kind of comes and shows up on the scene, right, to the presentation with compliance very much already built in. It's very comfortable sounding language for things like institutions, people who are going to be under the scrutiny of a regulator. So they're smart for that. Hedera Council describes itself as a governing body made up of global organizations dedicated to trust, security, innovation on the Hedera network. The council, they're all about Hedera. No shock there. So the real utility story, but the myth begins when people jump from Hedera has enterprise positioning to every enterprise will have to buy HBAR and the price must explode. It's a bit of a jump, don't you think? So utility claims and better questions. I really love this segment. That's why I made sure it was in tonight's show. This coin has enterprise adoption. Okay. It is a live product, a pilot, a partnership, or a marketing claim. Which one is it? Because that's very different than just an enterprise adoption. The network is useful. Okay, is the token required for the use case? I mean, this line right here, so simple, could just read it and move along, but I want to take a minute because this stuff is the sauce if you ask me. Network is useful. Okay, the network's useful, but we hold the token. We don't hold the network. And by we, I just hypothetically, assuming whatever you're looking at, this can be applied to many different things. Is the token actually required for the use case that we're so bullish about? Because if it's not, it's great for I don't know, evolution of blockchain technology, integration into traditional finance and stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean that any value is going to be captured by the market cap of the token. And that's problematic for the bags that you built if you're planning on the usefulness carrying you to the moon. Institutions are involved. Okay. Are they using the token, the network? Or are they just exploring? Are they just kind of meeting with the council and sending emails back and forth? That's very different from they're on board. They're going to hold some in their treasury. They're going to start using the network. Very different things. It supports RWAs. Are legal rights, custody, and compliance actually solved? And this is a good question because this is why I was talking about Hedera positioning themselves well with language of regulation, right? Standards. Because that's going to matter a lot to anybody who wants to get involved. Is it ISO related, right? The messaging compatibility or token certification. We went ham on this narrative yesterday. I don't want to go too hard on that today. I think you guys get it. It will power finance, very general, but the value actually flows to the token. Again, same idea. The token is what you hold. You don't hold the company. You don't hold the network. You might hold XRP. If Ripple does really well, do you hold Ripple? I guess you probably could. Is Ripple's publicly traded, right? I don't live in the stonk world a whole lot, but if the company does well, that would be Ripple. That's not necessarily XRP. XDC has real trade, finance, and RWA narrative. Prime Minister says proof of stake chain requires the token because validators have to stake on the network to validate transaction. Great point. And I can tell somebody's really paying attention. Proof of work requires energy from miners. The coin is the reward. So Prime Minister is really trying to point out the shift here, right? He's trying to say proof of stake actually requires the token. So it sounds like proof of stake might be slightly better for the market cap of a coin, where proof of work requires the energy from the miners and the coin itself is the reward. And what do you do with the reward? Usually spend the reward, right? It's worked out pretty well for BTC though, but that's a totally different reason why BTC has got so much money. Its market cap was heavy speculation, that first mover advantage, right? So we're talking about how XDC's utility story is very different. XDC Network describes itself as an enterprise-grade, open-source, EVM-compatible blockchain suited for trade finance, RWA tokenization, and enterprise application. And that matters because trade finance is a real-world problem. And every good company should be solving a problem that actually exists and is acknowledged by a large group of global people, especially in finance. Global trade still involves documentation, verification, credit, settlement, and trust between many parties. A blockchain network focused on trade finance is not random. But again, the fact or fiction question here is, does that utility create direct token demand. You see a pattern here? We really just want to know if the token is demanded. That's what we want to know. Otherwise, your bag not going to matter much. Is XDC required? Is it being used at scale? Are tokenized trade finance assets actually live and meaningful yet? And we're seeing an era where this is becoming more and more and more an actual reality. I love to see it. And how much value accrues, right, to the XDC token itself? Algorand. Let's talk about Algorand. Prime Minister says, yeah, you're right. Proof of stake is becoming the new norm because you don't need a lot of energy and it doesn't rely on miners, but it has trade-offs. It makes networks more centralized. Yep, definitely does. And then another trade-off is people made a lot of money on the fact that Bitcoin was proof of work and you could mine it, right? And you could buy power from your power company. It worked out well for the power company. You think the power companies were complaining about all the Bitcoin miners? Not at all. They're the ones selling them the power. I think the power companies are the people who really made the most money here, right? But they're always making money. Anyways, it is far more energy efficient. I personally don't really buy the narrative that there's this huge lack of power and that proof of work is somehow hurting the earth or something. I think that's a bunch of nonsense. If you actually study a lot of the electrical grids, especially here in America, there's a lot of power within the grid that never actually goes anywhere and gets used. Like they create it, they run it through all the lines in the system, but it dissipates or is never really quite used and isn't very good at recapturing it, right? And so there's a lot of electricity that's made that's really not even used, right? So keep that in mind. ALGO as real technology and real-world use case positioning. Algorand's utility story often focuses on fast settlement, low fees, asset issuance, tokenization, and real-world applications. Now, I've been a little bit disappointed in Algorand. I do hold a very small bit of Algorand from a long time ago, but it hasn't really been marketed well. It doesn't seem like the marketing is real popular. They could really up their game when it comes to marketing. They need to throw an Algorand meme coin that's not a different coin. It's just like they need to just memeify Algorand but keep all of what they built. I think it would be a smart move. Algorand says real companies are using networks to move money, verify data, tokenize assets, deliver aid payments, and build projects. Algorand also describes itself as a blockchain for RWA tokenization, including bonds, equities, funds, real estate, and structured products. My problem is, you see Coinbase doing a lot of this. We've seen Ondo. On-chain, we've seen things being tokenized. There was a couple other ones that I've seen, and I haven't seen Algorand's tokenized versions of stocks and things like that on-chain, because a lot of times they'll show up as new coins, right? Haven't seen a lot of them. So what are they doing? How far behind the curve are they? Are they geniuses who are doing something very, very, very different? And they're ahead of the game, and they just haven't launched yet because of the complexity? Or are they very far behind the curve and they don't really have anything out? And that is a real infrastructure story. But the myth here begins when people assume that because Algorand has strong tech, the token price must reflect it immediately, and it hasn't. Crypto does not always reward technology in a straight line. Exactly, it's speculation. A lot of times real technology is a little bit not as hyped, and when there's less hype, there's less attention, and there's actually less speculation. You'll see a meme coin get more hype and pump than something that actually really does something and has real development. Adoption, liquidity, developer activity, demand, incentive, market cycle, and narrative all really matter. So narrative, HBAR, is used for Hedera's network. Reality, XDC targets trade finance and RWA tokenization. That is true. Algorand is positioned for payments, tokenization, and real-world application. Also true. Quant focuses on interoperability and programmable finance. Reality. IOTA focuses on RWA infrastructure and efficient transaction. Reality. ISO 20022 creates an official list of utility coins. That's a myth. Heavy speculation, you could say. Enterprise interest guarantees token demand. Not true. Good technology guarantees price growth. Definitely not true. And utility could matter if usage creates token demand. That is just how speculation works. Quant QNT and Quant are about interoperability, not token demand still needs proof. But token demand still needs proof. Quant is the token, or QNT is the token. Quant is the foundation or the company, right? Yo, UG, speculation is the formula stocks. All markets and investments work this way. That's what makes crypto so fun and exciting too. Yeah, definitely. And if you understand the game, that's why the whole raising your crypto IQ thing is so important to me. You're going to have better speculation. And because what is speculation? Speculation is just guessing where the money is going to flow based off of attention. You can study liquidity and stuff like that. It is important. But also, just understanding the way that things cycle within a market and where the attention is headed. A lot of times when a few people with big money attention gets moved somewhere, everybody else follows them. And a lot of times you can just follow those cycles. So Quant's story is usually about interoperability, enterprise system, programmable money, and connecting different blockchains and legacy systems. Quant says Overledger is an API-based technology that can integrate into existing systems that use APIs. Quant also markets Quant Flow around programmable money, which I think for most people says CBDC, right? Digital banking, cash management, and financial product infrastructure. That is the reality side. Interoperability is the real problem, right, that they're set out to focus on. You can see how a lot of these are so similar, but they're just always kind of slightly different at the angle that they're coming at. I think is a really good thing because it really leaves a solid place at the table for each one versus them all just competing for the exact same thing. That usually wins, to one or two or three even big winners and everybody else not really making it. Financial institutions do not use the same ledger system or blockchain. Prime Minister says, oh yeah, exactly, bro. Follow the money. That's what it's all about. But the token demand question still matters. Does enterprise usage require Quant? Same question. How is QNT used? Does demand scale with clients, transactions, licenses, or something else? Is the token role clearly explained and also verifiable? Quant has real interoperability enterprise infrastructure narratives. The myth here is that interoperability is important. It does not automatically prove unlimited Quant demand just because interoperability is important, and it doesn't mean that everybody who needs to solve an interoperability problem is going to use Quant to do it. Now it's moved to IOTA. Has real infrastructure and RWA narrative as well. IOTA, the Internet of Things. What is the A for? Internet of Things is often discussed around infrastructure, data, supply chains, machines, and real-world asset tokenization, right? And a lot of these narratives were here before we really moved into such hardcore agentic networks, AI, and so those things can all very much be brought into the conversation. And I think the ones here in this categories that we're talking about, utility, that start really integrating those things, I think are the ones that are going to get the heaviest speculation, right? Seems to make sense to me. What's up, Stregahart? Thank you for being here. So IOTA says it focuses areas including RWAs, right? Efficient asset management, secure verification, near instant cost-effective transactions, just really good transactions and speed, and infrastructure using both move-based mainnet and EVM. So IOTA kind of gives you a mix between this move-based mainnet, which is, for example, what SWE is built upon. SWE is actually quite different than most blockchains. And then EVM compatibility, Solidity type coding that's just used all over the place. Doesn't make it any less effective, though. That is the real narrative. But again, we need to separate network utility, enterprise use case, token demand, price speculation. Those are not all the same thing. And the reality is IOTA has real infrastructure and RWA-focused positioning, but it's just positioning, right? That positioning doesn't automatically mean that the token captures any value globally. ISO 20022 keeps getting attached to utility tokens, but Wednesday's lesson still applies here, right? I hope you guys still remember it. A lot of these so-called utility coin basket get tied back to the ISO 20022 compliance. which is just a messaging standard, XRP, XLM, HBAR, XDC, Algorand, Quant, IOTA. But ISO 20022 itself says cryptocurrencies are not inherently ISO 20022 compliant and are not managed or registered by ISO 20022, and that ISO 20022 is a global financial messaging standard, and that is it. So if somebody tells you a coin is officially ISO coin, they are not really being 100% honest, whether it's because they don't know or because they're trying to lead you somewhere. A project may build systems that interact with financial messaging standards. A company may work with institutions. A network may position for payments and tokenization, right? But that does not the same thing as an official token certification. And remember, a lot of people go for big money by seeing a problem, building the solution, and positioning themselves, whether it's with tech, politics, partnerships, pilot programs, to really be in the right place at the right time when it's the right time, and those companies move with new technology. Doesn't mean that all of them are going to be adopted or that they're all going to position themselves well. So the honest conclusion here is utility is real, but the token claim is the test. This is the big takeaway. Utility coins are not all fake, right? We're being level-headed. We're not being hype, and we're not dismissing the truth of a lot of these things. Many of these projects are trying to solve real problems like payments, settlements, RWA tokenization, trade finance, interoperability, enterprise workflow, asset issuance, digital identity. But the internet often takes the real utility and jumps straight into guaranteed token outcomes, and that is the mistake. A serious crypto user asks, somebody with a high crypto IQ also asks, what is the utility? Who uses it? What part is live? Is the token required, right? Does it capture any value in the actual token itself? Is the demand reoccurring? Can you use it at scale? Like, is it scalable? Is it able to handle high demand? What evidence supports the claims that they're making? And how do you separate utility from utility myth? A coin having utility is only the first question. The real question is whether the utility creates real, measurable token demand. It's all about that token demand. If it's not token demand, it doesn't really matter much when it comes to your coin pumping. Camsta, it's been a little while, Camsta. Where you been? It says AO, BTC pamping, ADA pamping. Yeah, definitely. We're looking at our crypto bubbles when we kicked off. Prime Minister says, Camsta, where you been, man? All good, solid questions to ask before you buy into long-term projects. Yeah, how do you guys like the series this week? I feel like the series this week was very informative, but also really revisiting a lot of stuff that we've heard talked about a lot, and it might be a while since you've heard some of these narratives. Don't think that those narratives are not going to come back at some point. And you know how it goes. We take a quick break over here at the Chainers. Harvest all of our stuff here. Ooh, that was long-winded. I feel like I was talking at 1,000,000 miles an hour again. But I guess that's almost every show now. Not complaining. Love what I do. Love this underground community. And what do we want to sell into? Some BNB. Let's go. Let's look and see how much BNB we've got so far. 0.0043. See if we made any progress here. Oop, we got a little bit. Oh, we actually unlocked. Huh, where is it though? It says it's unlocked. I want it. It's my fertilizer and I want it now. Alright, let's go back to the city map. Prime Minister says stay hydrated. Absolutely. Hey man, crazy week at work. Weather finally getting hot. Yep, there you go. Oh man, it's like 100 degrees here every day. Don't get me wrong, I'm used to it. Born and raised here in Florida. I love it. I don't know what to do in the cold. The cold makes me like instantly tense. Once I start shivering, I'm just mad. Just mad that I'm cold. I'm not built for the cold. Just like a lot of people aren't built for the heat. I'm built for that heat. I'll sit out in 100-degree weather all day. As long as you got some water, maybe a little salt, I'm good to go. Be at the beach. All right, let's run that mini game real quick while I'm chatting here. And that was a quick stream as far as everything that we covered. Some days go like that. I feel like a lot of times where we spend a lot of time is when there are a lot of new tokens on crypto rank to go over, or a lot of interesting projects. That MapleStory one, the more that I think about it, the more I do remember when that thing came out now. Prime Minister saying that was not necessarily something that's up and coming, that it came out and had poor tokenomics. I'd like to see when projects fail. I'd like to see them, come back again and do something. I guess the problem is a lot of times that looks like rebrands. Like, I hate when people abandon things just because the going gets tough. It's like, revisit it, fix the tokenomics, I don't know, burn a bunch of stuff, change the reward rates. Like, you can shift around the tokenomics, right, to be more valuable if you want. I just want to see some DeFi gaming really win. And right now, all I see is zee-verse. And I almost said MapleStory. Sunflower. Those are the ones that I see really winning out here as far as like actually having bright communities, developers interested, people excited, AMAs, even though they're older projects. Stuff like that, I think, goes a long way. And for all that chitter chat about, GTA was going to have some kind of integration of a token, crickets, right? Absolutely crickets. Now it's launched. I don't know. Is it playable already? I'm sure somebody's playing it already. I haven't heard anybody talking about any kind of coin, which I do think is a huge missed opportunity, because Rockstar could make a ton of money just off of, the network fees. They could have crushed it if they charged some network fees. Even if they just made like a Rockstar, stable coin, right? Like make some kind of stable coin on GTA 6 that basically just a digital dollar. It's not like its own cryptocurrency with its own tokenomics, just a stable coin. And then you kind of have to use it with GTA 6, and then they make a ton of money off of the fees. I feel like that would have been a really smart move for Rockstar. It's a big money-making opportunity right there. Getting a little lost in the sauce here. I guess I'm already at 1,000. I get my free item. We'll move along. Detai Stu says, driving home, or I'll be more in the chat on these RWA coins. Understood, man. Hey, we appreciate you being here regardless. He says, that's the thing, Underground. Most Web3 games fail because of tokenomics. Yeah, absolutely. Play to earn is difficult to pull off correctly because they want to give away so much more value. I'm adding that part than they necessarily are bringing in. Axie is an example that you can't have token that is used to reward without liquidity. Right, because all the liquidity just gets sucked out, right? Like, it's the reward, so people exchange it for the dollar or whatever. They want to go buy something fancy or whatever, buy other cryptos, make moves, so they get out of the coin. You got to give them a lot of incentive to hold the coin, right? Campsa says GTA 6 is going to be complete crap because they want to market it to kids for the online, watered down, boring garbage. Yeah, it was pretty convincing, says Campsa. Yeah, and I I don't know. Maybe they wanted to get something out. You get what's going to be the next speculation with it? Like, oh, they just wanted to get something out on market because it had been so long, and there's secretly GTA 7 coming soon behind it. Like, they always do something of that nature. Now, I haven't heard any of that. I'm just adding that stuff. Ooh, some strawberries. That's useful. Let's hit, what do we got here? Herbs Fiction Basil Case. Just as the birthday party quieted down, a wild new challenge. Buy now. Buy today. Buy tomorrow. Buy later. Buy with money you don't have. Borrow money to buy. I don't know where that came from. Prime Minister says, for real, man, it's terrible. They ruined the formula of GTA. The original Rockstar team is long gone. Even the same devs. I'm playing the original GTA on PS2, LOL. Yeah. Exactly. Things move on. Instead of trying to make another version of the same game, it's almost like you really need just new inspired ideas so we can have a new wave of a game, not like GTA, like literally, but just innovative, new, creative idea that can be in the market what GTA is now, but something different for the future. Kamsa says, not a snowball chance in hell. There you go. Well, everybody, I feel like we've sufficiently gone over a lot of stuff. I know my voice feels weak from talking, but that might just be all the drywall dust that I've had to inhale today. Very, very highly likely that that's what it is. And I tell you, the coffee is not kicking today. I really needed that coffee this morning to do something, and it did nothing. Sugar Heart says, thanks again for the live later, everyone. Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and hop off Thursday vibes, right? And I will catch you guys in the next one. DeFi Friday tomorrow, one of my favorite streams. I love all the streams, but it's a little more relaxed, a little more deep dive. I plan on kind of maybe digging into, let's see, what is it? I'll show it off real quick. Ethereum's. We'll check it out and mess around with it. Of course, we have all of our regular games that we play here. DeFi gaming, still kicking. I don't know a ton about this. I just noticed that they just launched it. Could be something, could be nothing. This is as far as I've made it, which is like basically just opening it. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on here. Cryptic Quentin says, of course, once I come back. Says, good night, take care. Absolutely. I'm telling you guys, I was so beat and had so much going on. I almost didn't do a stream, and I was like, I can't do that. Can't do that to my people. So I'm here. Cryptic Quentin said I had to go AFK for a bit. Most of what you're discussing. Hey, you can always hit that replay. Right? If not, I'll catch you tomorrow night. You know what it is. Stay underground. Stay crypto. Think long term. Never financial advice. Underground Crypto out.